All right, this x22 report again. This is pretty interesting. I figured there was some alternative agenda with all these reports coming out against Trump. I know they want to get rid of him, but the question is how they're doing it and what is going on.
Into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, each day that passes, the deep state is losing traction on the impeachment story. The people are not buying it. This was part of the plan to show the American people how these people have a personal agenda and how they're not doing what they were elected to do. They have already lost and they don't even know it yet. And the other part of the deep state plan here was to have these hearings in secret and continually release these transcripts just to keep this going because they don't know the exact date of the IG FISA report, the D-class, or anything like this. So they need to keep this block going as long as possible. But as they do this, it hurts them every single day. Now, Trump, he sent a message to the swamp. He said, I caught you, and we have it all. Remember, timing is everything. And their time is almost up. We'll be talking about this a little bit later in this report. But first, let's go back to a tweet that Trump put out there. And this is from August of 2019. And this is what he said. The New York Times will be out of business soon after I leave office, hopefully in 6 years. They have zero credibility and are losing a fortune, even now, especially after their massive unfunded liability. I'm fairly certain they'll endorse me just to keep it all going. And what's very interesting is that the New York Times is failing. The stock of the company plunged 7%, finishing the session down about 4% on news that its revenue from advertising continues to decline. Even with their digital version, that is down 17.2%. The print version is down 9.7%. Print advertising fell 7.9%, while digital advertising fell 5.4%.
Well, good. It shows you that some of the citizens of the United States are paying attention. They're tired of the crap of this liberal media. You need to put your money where it matters and support those things that are really bringing out the truth and forsake or forget about those companies that are just way too liberal in their understanding and in their marketing. Because it will hurt their marketing and it will hurt their bottom line, and you will force them to either reduce their employment numbers or you'll bankrupt them. Either way, you'll hurt them financially. So it's important to understand where your money goes and to make it matter.
The New York Times is not doing well, and Trump called it. And it looks like they're failing right in front of our eyes. We are now seeing more CEOs resign, and others are now throwing their hat into the presidential election. First, we have Gap CEO Art Peck, and he decided to call it quits. And this is from live breaking news. Breaking: Gap Inc. CEO Art Peck is reportedly leaving the company after 15 years. And we need to remember that Q told us to keep track of all these individuals, all these CEOs that are resigning or getting fired. And we've been tracking all of this.
Wow, look at those CEOs who have been fired or quitting or resigning. Wow.
If we look at November 21st, 2019, Chris Jagus, CEO UKA, Red-Centric, resigned. Steve Easterbrook, CEO USA, McDonald's Corporation. October 31st, David Schwach, President, USA, Matthews International Corporation, retired. And the list goes on and on and on of many of these CEOs resigning or retiring or getting fired. And there's a reason for this. We know what's coming. We know there's an IG FISA report. We know there's a D-class. But we also know there's Nexium and Epstein waiting in the wings. And now we have other candidates that decided Maybe I should be in the presidential election running. Bloomberg decided to throw his hat into the ring. He believes he has the ability to win, or maybe he's just protecting himself. Why? Because Sky Cheese tweeted out the following. I don't know, but this picture is interesting. Who dat chick? She looks familiar. Someone help me out. Wink, wink. And this is Ghislaine Maxwell. Bloomberg is with her.
Hey everyone.
Remember, that's Maxwell. This gal here. Very interesting.
Protecting himself. Why? Because Sky Cheese tweeted out the following. I don't know, but this picture is interesting. Who dat chick? She looks familiar. Someone help me out. Wink, wink. And this is Ghislaine Maxwell. Bloomberg
Epstein's
is with her.
leading gal.
Very interesting. Now, Jeff Sessions decided he was going to run for the U.S. Senate again, and Live Breaking News tweeted out the following. Breaking. In his campaign announcement for U.S. Senate, Jeff Sessions says when President Trump took on Washington, only one senator had the courage to stand with him. Me. I was the first to support Trump. I was his strongest advocate. I still am. And a lot of people are looking at Sessions saying, oh, he didn't do what he said he was going to do. He recused himself. Trump was bashing him. But we need to go back to post 3371 and other posts. But let's start there. Here it says, sometimes you need to take one for the team publicly before you are vindicated as a hero. What this means is Jeff Sessions, when everything is said and done, we need to trust him. And sooner or later, he'll be vindicated as a hero. Why? Well, let's go to post 3385. And it says, you didn't think the Epstein investigation began a few months ago, did you? It was all under the direction and oversight of AG Jeff Sessions. Expect a lot more to become public unsealing. And then we need to go all the way back to post 2452. Now, this is from Q+, which is the president. And it says the following. Thank you for your service to our country, Mr. Jeff Sessions. Your sacrifices will never be forgotten. And right there, you can see that Sessions is on the side of Trump, and Trump is on the side of Sessions. Now, Don Jr. appeared on the TV show The View. He was promoting his new book. It's called Triggered. Now, during this whole entire interview, there was a lot going on, and several segments of ABC's The View went off the rails as several hosts leveled lies and false accusations against Don Jr. Jason Howerton tweeted out the following. Joy Behar and Whoopi were furious today that Don Jr. would dare accuse Joy of wearing blackface. A few years ago, this is what she said. It was a Halloween party. I went as a beautiful African-American woman. Enjoy the cancel culture you created. Now, during the broadcast, Don Jr. said, well, Joy, you wore blackface. And she said, no, I didn't. But she did. She made her skin darker than it really was. She put on a wig, and she said it was for Halloween, but there is a picture of her, and she did put on blackface. Now, once again, these individuals were caught in a lie. Here is a picture, here is proof, and even though she's trying to make us believe that she didn't wear blackface, she did. Now she's using the excuse that she went as a beautiful African-American woman. Well, anyone that dresses up in blackface then can say, I went as a handsome African-American man. And then nobody's wearing blackface, right? This is what she's trying to tell us. Now, in the second segment, Whoopi Goldberg says they didn't discuss impeachment the morning after Trump won the 2016 election. Steve Guest tweeted out the following. Kimberly, who's Don Jr.'s girlfriend, calls out The View for pushing impeachment since the day after the 2016 election. Even on this show, the first day after the election, you said, now let's start with impeachment. Whoopi falsely responds, that isn't true. It wasn't. But the video from November 9, 2016, just hours after the last votes came in and the election results went public, It was Goldberg herself who floated impeachment as a possible recourse. We can kick his ass out, you know. There is such a thing called impeachment, she said. So that's number two, where they're pretending these things didn't happen. Now, Sonny Hostin claims that Don Jr. committed a federal crime when he named the whistleblower. She said, I'm a former prosecutor. Did you advise your boyfriend that it is a federal crime to out a whistleblower? And his girlfriend said, I didn't advise him it's a federal crime at all. It's only a federal crime for the IG to do it, Don Jr. said. And she said, that's a lie. That's not true, claiming it was a crime under U.S. Code Section 1505. But Dan Meyer, former executive director for the Intelligence Community Whistleblower Program, there is no overreaching protection for the identity of the whistleblower under federal law. Congress has never provided that protection. Additionally, the law that she is citing had nothing to do with whistleblower protection, but rather addressed obstruction of proceedings before departments, agencies, and committees. The Whistleblower Protection Act of 1989 is actually covered under 5 U.S. Code 2302 and the Intelligence Community Whistleblower Protection Act of 1998. The Inspector General is the one that can't reveal the identity. Everyday people, that doesn't apply to them, and it's not against the law. So once again, they're just trying to cover themselves through this entire interview with Don Jr. Now, John Solomon is out there, and he is continually producing evidence that contradicts everything that Hunter and Joe Biden says about their dealings with Ukraine. John Solomon tweeted out the following: media tried to portray the Ukraine stories as conspiracy theories.
I need to stop here for a moment. You need to understand that these lies are not being covered in our national major media groups. Only in private conservative news groups are we talking about these lies and these cover-ups and this espionage. I'll be blunt about this. This is part of espionage. It's part of CIA. This is part of a traitor mentality, destructive, coercive CIA mentality to destroy the U.S. government. I'll just be blunt about it. And all of it is criminal in my mind. All of it. Period. Let me be perfectly clear about that.
But in 1 week, we now have confirmed Hunter Biden got VIP access at State. His company used it to try to quash corruption allegation just before Vice President Biden got prosecutor fired. And there's a lot of emails that are coming out. There's a lot more evidence coming out, and it implicates Obama, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and many others.
And he says many others. So this evidence isn't all out yet. They've been fighting like hell to get this evidence not out. But other people like Solomon, who the major media railed and accused of different things, fighting him like crazy, but he's one of the best reported journalists we know of in the major media networks. And he's finally decided to either go independent or get away from them and do it anyhow, even though they are trying to slander him to the high hilt.
They are fighting a losing battle. They are corrupt, and there's no one to cover for them, and they're getting caught up in their lies. Now, the Patriots are continuing to fight back against the fake impeachment and the subpoenas. Mick Mulvaney, he is not going to testify, even though he received a subpoena. He's saying absolutely not. We are not participating in this. And we're starting to see a lot of the Trump administration say, you know something, we're not participating in this fake impeachment.
Good. They need to stand up and demand their constitutional rights. And they're being abused through the judicial system, and they're being subpoenaed without a full impeachment vote and hearing. They have not done a full vote on it and it has not passed the House. If it hasn't passed the House, it's illegal and it's not constitutional, and they need to say no to these subpoenas, period.
What we are witnessing now in regard to the fake impeachment is the deep state players being exposed for lies. This entire plan is falling apart around them. Let's take Yovanovitch, for example. Representative Lee Zeldin asked Ambassador Yovanovitch about the email during her testimony before Adam Schiff's impeachment committee. Yovanovitch lied and said she never personally responded to it, but that was not true. Yovanovitch did respond to the staffer saying,
so they're getting caught in all these lies, and if you're paying attention, you understand it, and you know it, and you're calling it on, and they need to be legally prosecuted for the criminality.
Yovanovitch lied and said she never personally responded to it, but that was not true. Yovanovitch did respond to the staffer saying, look forward to talking to you. But now there's more. The former ambassador used her personal email to message Democrat staffer who asked her about a time-sensitive and delicate issue a month before the so-called whistleblower's complaint was filed. She's in a lot of trouble right here. She's lying. Lee Zeldin tweeted out the following. It appears Ambassador Yovanovitch did not accurately answer this question I asked her during her impeachment inquiry. Deposition under oath. And again, wasn't there a precedent set up that if you lie to Congress, you're charged? Isn't this what they originally got Manafort for? Flynn and the rest? Well, now it's all coming back around onto them.
And why wasn't she charged immediately? Again, this double standard by the liberal Congress is treasonous and it's illegal, and they should be called on it. They should either be voted out or impeached, or they should resign. But they don't have any integrity. That's the problem. Dirty, dirty political business.
And Paul Sperry tweeted out the following. Breaking, just released, transcript of impeached witness Vindman reveals that Representative Schiff repeatedly instructed the ex-NSC official to refrain from naming any intelligence coworkers or contacts he spoke with out of concern naming one of them could identify the whistleblower. Now, why can't he name anyone?
All right. Now, Shifty Schiff.
But he's not allowed to give the answer.
Now, all these threatening all these people from answering who these whistleblowers are, or even the people that are contacted with the whistleblower, all this crap's going to come out and blow up. The media already knows who it is. Kentucky senator said he's going to probably release that information and confirm it. All this cover-up, all this crap, it's going to come out and it's going to crap all over them by the time it's done. And they're going to dig a hole so damn deep this coming 2020 election. Most of them are going to, some of these individuals are going to lose the votes, lose their position, and I believe we're going to gain back the House. We'll see.
Because it would mean the whole thing completely falls apart and he would be caught lying because he's not going to tell the truth. Paul Sperry tweeted out the following. Perjury. Vindman flatly denied under oath knowing who the whistleblower is. He knows exactly who it is. But without him saying it, he's protected himself. Now, the whistleblower's lawyer, Andrew Bakaj, and this is one of the attorneys representing the fake whistleblower, sent the White House a letter warning Trump to cease and desist attacking his client. Mr. Bakaj argued his client, which we now know to be a CIA leaker named Eric Charmella, is in physical danger because of Trump and the conservative media. Trump has every right to defend himself, criticize the whistleblower, question the whistleblower. If someone is accusing you, you have a right to look the accuser in his or her eye and question these individuals. But we know what would happen if the House, Trump, or anyone else questioned the whistleblower. It would completely fall apart in 2 seconds. And we knew from the beginning that this whistleblower was never going to testify. Why? Because one, the person would be outed. Second, they'd be able to ask him questions. Third, everything would fall apart. And this is why the deep state is continually pushing their agenda, and they do exactly what we think they are going to do. They decided that they're not going to have the whistleblower testify after all. Surprise, surprise. Not really. We knew this was going to happen because this whole thing is fake. It's made up. And they understand, and I believe their plan is just to keep this going as long as possible because they know they have nothing. They know that this will never, ever go anywhere. And this is why they had the secret hearings. This way, it gave them more time. They had the hearings in secret. Then they drip feed the testimony out to the public, which allows them to keep this going longer and longer. But what this does, actually, it hurts them every step of the way. And one of the whistleblower attorneys, Mark Zaid, he's a complete and utter disaster. He's talking about a coup. He's talking about removing Trump. He's a regular expert on CNN since 2017. And there's a lot of strange things about him. He took trips to Disney alone. He liked Disney girls on YouTube. And he tweeted out something really strange. This was back in February 11, 2018. I've gotten clearances for guys who had child porn issues. So he was able to get security clearances for those individuals that dealt in child porn.
So this is going to come back and bite him in the butt big time, one way or another. And the individuals that he got clearances for, they'll come back and bite them in the butt if it continues to be prosecuted and pursued.
How is this even possible? Think about this. This all goes back to Epstein, Nexium, and all the sealed indictments. I don't mean all the sealed indictments for this, but a lot of them have to do with this. The deep state plan is completely backfiring, and the American people, they're not going along with it. And there was a poll, and this is not done from the mainstream media. Fox, no. NBC, no. Not CBS. This poll was done where they took individuals, equal amounts, and they polled them. It was not weighted with more Democrats than Republicans, no independents. They made this poll pretty darn fair. So many heard of the polls, finding that most Americans, 51% in October, and this is coming from Fox News, want Trump impeached. But a recent Monmouth poll cast doubts on the polls the mainstream media is pushing out to the public. They show that 73% of Americans have very little or no confidence in the impeachment process. Why is this poll so different?
So this is big news. This Monmouth poll, whoever did this poll did it right and did it more level, an equal playing field. And 73% said they think this impeachment process is going nowhere. Big, big, big difference. They're going to come this election a year from now. The people are going to just kick these people in the butt, I hope, and move forward with re-electing Trump and getting things done. And after he's re-elected, what in the world are they going to do? You're going to see a lot of people resign or move or do other screwy things. But when the subpoenas start coming after them, they'll have no place to run or hide.
It's simple. Unlike the other polls, it doesn't oversample Democrats. Rather, its sample was 29% Republican, 42% Independent, 29% Democrat, and it was 48% male, 52% female, which sounds right because nationally there are more women than men. And as for the results, a full 73% of those surveyed have very little or no confidence in the impeachment process. Only 24% said they had a lot of confidence in the process. So the American people, they're not buying what the deep state is selling. They know this. Trump and the Patriots know this. And every day, they're losing this battle. But I do believe their plan is to keep this going long enough to block the IG FISA report and the D-class, because they know there's nothing there. Because they cannot produce the evidence. Trump already released the phone transcript. It doesn't matter what all these people say and what their opinions are and what they believe or what they heard second, third, fourth hand. It's all meaningless at this point, and they know it. Now, the Patriots unleashed the bulldog, Jim Jordan. He's now being appointed to the Intelligence Committee. Kevin McCarthy.
Jim Jordan. Okay. The Intelligence Committee is appointed and now become the Impeachment Committee. There will be a continuing fight over fairness and truth. Has been an exemplary member of the committee and will rejoin when the Democrat charade is over. Wow.
McCarthy tweeted out the following. I am appointing Jim Jordan to the Intelligence Committee, which has now become the Impeachment Committee, where he will continue fighting for fairness and truth. Representative Rick Crawford has been an exemplary member of the committee and will rejoin it when the Democrat charade is over. And right on cue, what happened? Maggie Haberman tweeted out, I guess she didn't get off the train. She's still on the train. Referee says he told Rep. Jim Jordan that Ohio State doctor performed sex act in shower. It looks like they are rehashing the same old smear campaign. They don't want Jim Jordan on this committee because he's going to ask the real questions. And he's going to make it very tough.
Which brings us to a very common point. If you're smearing someone, you better check out the evidence, because this smear tactics, a lot of them are just lies and fabricated, and they better have a right to address the people who are smearing them. And this is the same with President Trump and this impeachment process. It's just a smear tactic, and people know it.
For these individuals, and he's going to report back that these individuals, they're not answering the questions, or Schiff and others are blocking him from asking these questions. Now, the mainstream media, they want the president's first call with Ukraine. Now, remember, the Patriots have been telling us that the only way forward is through truth and transparency. Trump has nothing to hide. Trump is playing with the deep state. And Trump said something very interesting when he answered the question. Take a listen to what he said.
Now they want the first call with the president of Ukraine. If they want it, I'll probably give it to them, but they really want it badly. If they want it, I will probably give it to them. I don't like doing it because it sets a bad precedent, John. Because every time President Xi calls or somebody calls from China, if I speak to Kim Jong-un, are they worried about me giving the call? But in this case, because the press has been duped into a hoax, and in some cases they've really started the hoax, I will give the letter if they want it. But I do say this about that call. I think that's a very revealing call.
Now, did you hear the end part where Trump said that the call is going to be very revealing? He is now setting up the deep state and the mainstream media. Plus, he said that this is a very bad precedent. Not for him.
Very revealing. And it's going to reveal a lot. And it's setting up a bad precedent. It really, really is. And they need to be called on it. No administration should have to go through this crap. And if anything comes out of these 2 4-year terms with President Trump, should be that no president should have to put up with this type of abuse.
But for all the other presidents, remember Q has told us that transparency and truth are the only way forward. The deep state does not work with transparency and truth. They hide behind everything. They don't give us the truth. They're not transparent. That's how the deep state operates. This is why Trump is saying this is going to create a bad precedent. Because if he has to release the calls, then it's only fair that all the other calls the presidents have done, they're released. Think about that for a sec. Think about
if Obama and Clinton had to have their stuff released. Think about that.
Obama's calls with Ukraine, Biden's calls with Ukraine. You think they would want those calls released? No. He also went on to say that the press was duped, or they were in on the hoax, letting everyone know the mainstream media is part of this. He's setting up the deep state. Now, what's very interesting is that the IG report on FISA abuse is being held up right now. It's pending. And Technofog, he points out.
Now, the FISA report is pending. Again, there's something with the timing on this. They're waiting for something to happen before it's released. Because you can only release it once. So there's something else in the works that we're not aware of. And when it's right, it will be released. What happens if it's released just before next fall? Wow. That'll hit them where it counts.
That the NSA data collection and FISA 702 surveillance programs are part of this reauthorization because it's set to expire on December 15th and it needs to be reauthorized. So on November 6th, the Senate Judiciary Committee.
So it's supposed to be reauthorized, but it's so corrupt, it needs to be stopped and reevaluated.
Held hearings on the reauthorization. Senators expressed their displeasure with the Trump administration's inability to answer questions about the National Security Agency's collection of data records, which begs the question, is the current Inspector General report on FISA abuse being delayed due to the need for Congress to reauthorize the very same program the IG is about to criticize? And I believe the Trump administration is using the same exact FISA system to spy on Brennan and the rest. And I believe they have actual warrants that are legal, not the fake ones the deep state has used. Because we need to remember back in post 2694, Q says FISA works both ways. And I believe they want this reauthorized before they move forward.
So it's got to be reauthorized, but it's got to be used right. And if they already have the warrants and stuff available, it's a matter of timing when they pull them out. Wow, it works both ways. Remember what Q said. Can't wait for Q's stuff to start coming up again. They're doing a bunch of testing on this stuff, but wow.
We'll have to see how this plays out. And we also know that there's a stealth report coming out right before the IG FISA report. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. Now,
I forgot about the stealth report. They're doing something to bring out some more people on the stealth report. So this may come out this year or next year, and then the FISA later. But they're setting up these people to take one heck of a fall.
Trump and his foundation, they are now ordered to pay $2 million settlement over the lawsuit. Now, this lawsuit was a civil lawsuit, and this had nothing to do with foreign entities or anything like that. What the Supreme Court ordered Trump to pay was $2 million in damages as part of a settlement stemming from a June 2018 civil lawsuit filed by the state attorney general's office against him. His three eldest children and the Trump Foundation that allege violations of campaign finance law. The dispute centers on a $2.8 million raised by the Trump Foundation at an Iowa fundraiser for military veterans during the 2016 campaign cycle. Scarpula said that she lowered the figure from $2.8 million to $2 million because the funds ultimately reached their intended destinations. Trump tweeted out the following and explained the situation. I am the only person I know, perhaps the only person in history, who can give major money to charity, $19 million, charge no expense, and be attacked by political hacks in New York State. No wonder why we are all leaving. Every penny of the $19 million raised by the Trump Foundation went to hundreds of great charitable causes with almost no expenses. The New York Attorney General is deliberately mischaracterizing this settlement for political purposes. In fact, the court rejected the Attorney General's frivolous request for statutory penalties, interest, and other damages. It has been 4 years of politically motivated harassment, first by lightweight AG Schneiderman prior to his resignation for beating up women, then AG Underwood, who was impossible to deal with, and now AG James, who does not acknowledge that we gave 100% of the funds to great charities, but refuses to investigate the Clinton Foundation with all of its problems. All they found was incredibly effective philanthropy and some small technical violations, such as not keeping board minutes. We resolved the case with the understanding that all money previously in the foundation has gone to charity. I am therefore happy to donate $2 million to the following worthy charities: Army Emergency Relief, Children's Aid Society, City Meals on Wheels, Give an Hour, Martha's Table, United Negro College Fund, United Way of Capital Area, and the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum. And we can see that they have tried to get Trump. And what came out of this is they couldn't find anything. Now,
Again, this is harassment to the hilt. I don't know how he puts up with it. His man is a rock. He may have his own weaknesses. He may say more things than he should, but he is steely. Wow.
like Trump said, if they looked into the Clinton Foundation or the McCain Institute, I wonder what they would find. I think that's coming up very, very soon. Now, right now, Trump has appointed 25% of all circuit court judges. He appointed more judges in less than 3 years to the circuit courts than any of his two-term predecessors going back to Ronald Reagan. The Senate confirmed William Nardini on Thursday to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit, making 25% of circuit court judges Trump appointees. That was the president's 45th pick, higher than the number of judges appointed by all presidents, from Reagan to Obama. He's changing it all. Why? Because we have trials coming up, and it has to be changed. And for those people who believe that all these sealed indictments are just going to stay sealed, well, think again. They are being unsealed. And the promise of tracking down human traffickers and child porn creeps, we are seeing a huge amount of sting operations. We have retired Brigadier General living in Pennsylvania was charged with 15 counts of child pornography. Then we have another individual. This is Maryland police officer charged with 17 counts of possession, distribution of child porn. Then we have over a dozen, about 17 men in Florida charged with child pornography. And in Polk County, these 17 men were arrested at the conclusion of a month-long investigation which targeted those who possessed and shared child pornography. Among those arrested were a former middle school assistant principal, 2 Thea Park employees, and a registered nurse. And in Maryland, they decided to quietly drop the sanctuary policies after illegal aliens committed sex crimes. And this just wasn't one. This was 6 illegal aliens who committed sex crimes. And the Montgomery County Executive, Mark Ehrlich, has quietly reversed the county sanctuary policy whereby agents with the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, ICE, had been banned from entering secure locations of the county jail to properly take custody over illegal aliens charged with crimes. Now, Montgomery County officials will allow ICE agents to place a detainer on criminal illegal aliens in their custody and schedule a date and time to pick up those suspects from certain areas of the county jail. How things are changing very, very rapidly. And I believe we're going to see a lot more CEOs resign or get fired or retire. We're going to see a lot more of these arrests of these individuals that are dealing in child pornography, human trafficking, drugs, and the rest. They're cracking down on the deep state. I don't think people understand how big this child pornography, human trafficking thing really is. And I believe that all these stories and all these arrests that are coming out right now,
I think they're running before they get their balls caught in a vice. Excuse my language, but it is bad news for these abusive individuals. And these individuals should be going to the pen. And they may resign and run, but they may yet do time. So they can't escape justice if he gets enough federal judges, conservative judges in the right place, and enough of this stuff is prosecuted legally. They still can't run from it, even though they resign. They're resigning so their companies aren't smeared, but they're going to be smeared, and they're going to be tried and prosecuted. So the proverbial crap is still going to hit the fan in the next 4 to 6 years. And the White Hats have said they've still got a plan after Trump leaves office. And setting up these legal situations and these judges is part of that plan, and following up with the prosecutions. Legal prosecutions is part of that plan, I'm sure.
now this is the primer, because we're going to find out bigger information that has to do with Nexium, with Epstein. And we're starting to hear all of this. And people are going to start to realize that this has nothing to do with Democrat, Republican, black, white, doesn't make a difference. This is a problem in America. This is run by the deep state. This is used to blackmail people. And
this is exactly what Alex Jones says. They have been using this, the deep state has been using this to blackmail and force people in political and in people in authority, CEOs and other corporations that handle money and power. They've been using this to blackmail and control these individuals and these financial situations and these corporations. So this is all coming out, and this is essential. And this executive order that started, what was it, a year ago, year and a half ago? Maybe it's been 2 years ago. I don't know. I've got to go back and look. But even if it was 2 years ago, that means that it's going to change everything once the legal situation and judges are where they need to be, and you can start the prosecution and unsealing of these subpoenas or these indictments. It's going to be massive, and you're going to see massive amounts of arrests and prosecutions like we've never seen before. But you got to get the judges in place first, and that's why this is taking time. So this has been well thought out by military intelligence and the people that are really supporting Trump militarily with their intelligence and otherwise, and White Hats and other people that are honest in the DOJ. They're fighting against the crooked people in the DOJ. This is the greatest legal civil battle you've ever seen in the United States. Think about that.
there are sick people out there. But what people are going to learn is that there are people, which we were told to respect, in royalty, in Hollywood, politicians, that are all part of this. And this is what the deep state is so afraid of. Because once this information comes out, their entire apparatus completely falls apart. Forget about the IG report. Forget about the D-class. And I don't mean forget about it. I mean, think about the implications of knowing that these individuals, producers, actors, actresses, politicians, royalty, they're all involved in this. Their reputations are gone with a snap of a finger. People will not even be able to look at them. Actually, they will not be able to walk down the street. That's how bad it's going to be. And this is all being primed for this. Now, when Trump first came into office, the swamp was all around him. Those who were in power at that time allowed the swamp to stay there, to spy on him. And those individuals that everyone believed were part of Trump, they really weren't.
Well, this is big, and this is why they're fighting so hard. And you're seeing this glue being torn apart, and by the time it's torn apart, they'll have no place to run or hide. And there's going to be a lot of people committed suicide, trying to flee, end up in jails, or other things. Being bumped off, it's going to get ugly, and it should, because these guys are criminals. They've been using this stuff for a long time. They've been abusing people for a long time, children, women, young girls, and they've been using this abuse to blackmail powerful people, mostly men, some women too.
And what's very interesting is Paul Sperry tweeted out the following. Breaking. What was former RNC chief and Trump chief of staff Reince Priebus doing meeting Clinton operative Paul Begala for lunch in September? I wonder what they were doing there. Very interesting. All part of the swamp. And Trump sent us a message to everyone, to the swamp, to all Anons, to everyone that is listening, that we caught the swamp. We have everything. We know everything. Your time is up. Take a listen.
I think in light of all of the things going on, and you know what I mean by that, the fake news, the Comeys of the world, all of the bad things that went on, it's called the swamp. And you know what happened? And you know what I did? A big favor. I caught the swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it.
And right there, Trump is letting everyone know that he has captured the swamp. He knows it all. We have it all. Timing is everything. And the only way forward is through transparency and truth. The people are going to see what these individuals are all about, what they have done, the crimes they have committed, the crimes against humanity. And a lot of these people are going to have nervous breakdowns. They're not prepared for this. This is why this information has been let out very slowly, to get people on board, to get people to understand that, yes, there are pedophilial rings. Yes, there are people in high positions that are doing these things. It's not just this individual that you think is disgusting, or it's a poor person, or it's someone out in the woods. That it's right here, right in front of you. It could be your next door neighbor. You don't even know. Actually, in my neighborhood, just the other day, there were helicopters, SWAT teams going in, raiding a house. Lo and behold, it was these couple that were involved in child pornography. And there was a lot more, because there were a lot of officers that were going in, taking a lot of things, and I do believe it had to do with kids. And I don't think it was just video production. I think it was trafficking. I think it was a lot more, because there were way too many officers from all different departments going into this home. And I think people are going to be very, very surprised when all of this starts to happen, of who these people really are and how widespread it really is. The Patriots are just prepping America for Epstein, for Nexium, for what is coming.
All right, that's it. I think there's stuff coming with beyond your imagination, and we're going to see this happen and be brought out, and it's going to be wowzer, to say the least. It's going to be unimaginable. This crap has been going on for way too long, and it took a president like Trump to do it. In quote order, he says he's caught the swamp. He knows what they've done. He's caught them. Now it's time to get the judges in line, start with these subpoenas, start releasing this information, opening the envelopes, and start the legal process and the trials. Putting these people behind bars and starting the trials. This is all coming. And it's going to be coming before the 2020 election, and people are going to fully know and understand this situation as it blows up next year in less than a year's time. In less than a year's time. This is going to be a year like no other year in history. Starting now with CEOs and the media being caught on this and being part of this, it's all going to, you're going to have to decide which side of the line you're on. And Trump has clearly drawn a line, clearly set up the judges and the legal system to handle this and the space to do this, so it's all coming out. And you have to decide which line you're on. You have to either come clean, or you're going to have to try to escape, or you're going to be committed suicide, or you're going to try to run. But it's not going to be pretty for these individuals that allow themselves to get caught and snared in this crap, period. Roger Mark from Village, Montana. Never in our history has this been so pervasive and so abusive to children, young women, other individuals of power, and the blackmail has just been off the charts. It's all coming to a head. This is why I believe God's hand was in this, and honest women help put Trump in, conservative women, conservative men. You're going to see him reelected, and you're going to see him finish this job that he started. And this is going to be the most prolific action and change in this nation's history, politically and legally. And they're trying to clean up a justice system, a federal FBI and a CIA system, and a corrupt Washington Bureau and swamp. That it's amazing that he has even been able to pull this off. Thank God to the White Hats and people that have supported him judicially, federally, Sessions, other people. I was mistaken on Sessions, but Sessions offered a sacrifice, and Trump thanked him for it. He knew what that was. Sessions got this Epstein thing going and started setting this up, and Trump said, "We thank you for your sacrifice. You will never be forgotten." So, and you're going to find out that he was a great hero too, Sessions, and that we were mistaken about our judgment about him. Good news, Roger Mark from Billings, Montana. This is probably one of the most important x22 reports that I've ever talked on. Review it carefully and go from there. I'll leave the link and see the full video from x22 reports. Thank you for this guy and the people that support him. Support his sponsors also. Good news, Roger Mark from Billings, Montana.